Roll. Still waiting. Still waiting. Don't know why it took so long. Don't remember it taking this long last time.
There's a note on mine that says you're live, but I don't know.
I mean, 1 second. Let's take a look. Hey, all right, I am live. All right, professionalism, everybody. All right, thanks for dealing with it. Okay, all right, here we go. Well, here we go. It's second time's a charm when it comes to going after last week. All right, welcome everybody to this MIA State Tournament Bracket Breakdown Show. My name is Gage Nutter with MassLive. I'm joined by Jay Horrigan from Franklin TV. Obviously, I'm not doing well, Jay, so when it comes to the technology of things, but how are you doing, Jay?
I'm doing great, Gage, but it's great to be back with you. And first of all, before we go any further, I've got to ask you, there's a piece of artwork hanging up behind you.
There
Tell
is.
me a little bit about that.
Well, this piece of artwork here was painted by my wonderful fiance, Lexi.
That's beautiful.
It's a beautiful, beautiful landscape we have back here. She's very talented. She's extremely talented. So I had to.
I have a little tear in my eye.
Yes, this is very
That's
strategic.
very nice.
Very strategically placed. I see you wiping. Get your tissues.
Thank you.
But although we do love Lexi's artwork, we got to get to the matter of business today, and that is the state tournament. We are up through the round of 16 now in most of the sports. I was at a Great Boys basketball game the other day, Pope Francis versus Bedford in the Division II tournament, which I'll get to later. I know you tonight we're at Franklin versus Putnam. We're going to have some guests later on to talk girls hockey, girls basketball as well. But I want to start with you, Jay, when it comes to Putnam and Franklin. I know we previewed that game. We previewed it on Friday. We were looking forward to it. We put our powers combined. I know Putnam being a Springfield school, you being very familiar with Franklin. We hyped it up. We gave it a great kind of preview, but I think Franklin coach C.J. Neely and his boys were like, yeah, thanks for hyping it up and everything. But we're just going to take care of business here and win by 25 plus. So Franklin takes care of business. They're still alive. Putnam heading home. What were the big takeaways from that one tonight, Jay?
So I would say it was close and exciting to meet Lou Rowe, UMass. Great Lou Rowe. Was a pleasure. Then, unfortunately, they tossed the ball up. Franklin won the tap. They hit 4 straight threes. It was 12-0 and never looked back. They ended up winning 81-55. As we were saying before we came on air, the Putnam, their best player, Mayberry, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Andrew Mabry.
Yeah, he just couldn't get going in the first half. He tried, and their short bench really played an impact. On top of that, Franklin, first half, shot 55%. They hit 10 3-pointers. They just were unstoppable and took a huge lead into the half. They were up 20 points at the half, and it never really got much closer than that.
Gotcha. I mean, it's one of the things with Putnam. I know we talked about it a little bit before. Very talented top line, starting 5, that backcourt, Akbar Allah, Andrew Mabry, like you mentioned, Julian Chapman, talented group. But it's when you get this deep into the state postseason, you need that 6th, 7th, and 8th guy to step up for you. And I know Putnam, I mean, they have good players on their bench, but it's more just having enough legs to be able to keep running. And when it comes to running and being physical, that makes me think of the game I was at the other night that I mentioned, Pope Francis and Bedford. Pope Francis coming in the number 3 seed in the Division 3 or Division 2 tournament, taking on Bedford at home. Number 14, I think Bedford is. And it was obvious from the beginning of the game that, at least to me, Bedford had the game plan to come in and say, we are not going to allow Ryan Vitavelli to be comfortable at any moment that he's on the court. He's going to feel us. He's going to feel us denying an entry pass. He's going to feel us when he gets past half court, whether it be a touch, whether it be a little one of these, maybe a shoulder, a little something, hip check. He's going to feel us. And he felt it in the first quarter. Came back a little bit in that second quarter, finished with 10 points. TJ Reed had a great third quarter, had 10 plus points alone in the third to try and keep Pope Francis close. But those boys out in Bedford, I mean, were really, really impressive to me. A couple kids that stepped out. Justin Lieberman, to me, super steady behind the 3-point line, a great shooter. They were driving and kicking to him the entire game. I thought Justice Buchanan, he wasn't afraid to drive into the paint and sort of see Sam Mayfield and his long arms. I mean, he didn't care. He went in there and he took the initiative on offense when it came to driving into the paint. A long list of guys. Camden Shoesmith for Bedford, I thought was their emotional leader, whether it be offense, defense, played physical, but did the little things to help them succeed. And when it comes to Pope Francis, by the end of the year, I thought they were the best program, period, in Western Massachusetts. Back to back.
You had said that.
Yeah, back-to-back Class A champions. Which is nothing to sneeze at. Where I think I said it on Friday 5 years ago. I remember covering a game at Pope Francis where they finished the season with 2 wins. I mean, it was a completely different program 5 years ago compared to now, and they still have things to be excited about. I know TJ Reed graduating is difficult, but Ryan Vitavelli coming back for them, I'm interested to see what they look like next year. But something I'm interested in knowing from your perspective, Jay, as somebody with officiating, a history of being a basketball official and officiating in different games. Like I said earlier, with it being a physical game, I'm always interested in how officials go about the officiating of a physical game, especially in the state postseason. It's, the rules aren't different. It's not like, the rules have changed at all, but it's a different type of atmosphere that lends to a little bit of physicality. So, with officiating experience, what is your perspective on when you show up to a game and you see it's physical early? What's the first thing you're thinking? How do you go about that as official?
Well, it's interesting, too, that we're talking about the Bedford team. I happened to have them earlier this year against Latin Academy, and they are a very physical team. And you kind of go into a game, whether it's a postseason or a regular season game, your goal is to not call fouls. You spend a lot of time yelling at the players, don't do this, try stop doing that. Eventually, if you deem a player getting an advantage, you've got to call something. But that's, again, it's different from official to official. Some officials call things extremely tight. Tonight in that Putnam game, they were letting them play. There were big kids on that court. They let them play. A lot of it is who you've got as actual officials in the game. And it varies. And you're right, the rules are no different, but the way people look at it is extremely different.
Right. I mean, it's so interesting where, like I said, when it comes to the postseason, again, and even like you said, the rules are different, but the games just feel
totally
so different. And I guess switching gears here, getting to girls basketball, in a minute here, want to bring in, again, just like we did on Friday, the moment you've all been waiting for, Kenneth Minogue, my coworker. I'm going to pull him in here in a second to talk some girls basketball. He was at another great game tonight, Division 5, round of 16 for girls basketball, number 4 Renaissance and number 13 Tohoto. I know with Renaissance, came into the game with that undefeated record, 22-0. They now 23-0. They've improved. So, Kenny, I know with Renaissance, it's a team that you've had your eye on during this entire winter. So I know you know a lot about them. You saw them tonight. Renaissance took care of business. What did Zion Wallace and Sinai Baker have cooking for Tohoto tonight?
Well, they had it really cooking from the beginning of the game, honestly, from the first quarter onwards. They got out to a 5-0 start from right early on. Sinai Baker hitting 2 back-to-back baskets. But then as the quarter went on, Tohoto started to really get into the game. This is a team that's made it this far. They're going to be able to snap back into a game and get into the pace of it. And really defensively, that was where Renaissance slowed down in the second quarter, and Tohoto was able to reclaim the lead. But once the second half, after barely reclaiming the lead for Renaissance heading into the halftime, second half really, Zion Wallace really just took over in that third quarter. 4 baskets in a row, 4 baskets she had in the third quarter, and then really extending the lead into double digits for Renaissance. And the fourth quarter, really, again, Baker just took over for herself, was able to provide a lot of the offense for the Phoenix. And defensively, they really tightened the screws in defensively in the second half. They only allowed single digits for both quarters. So it was a really great performance from the Phoenix in the second half specifically, and even spoke with the girls afterwards. Third quarters has been something that's really been where they've been able to excel, because they've been able to go into halftime and really take and look at what they were missing from the first half, and then address those things, because it's such a young roster. You have mostly just freshmen and seventh graders on the roster. A couple of juniors it's a roster that didn't have that much experience, or too much experience in that way together, because both Wallace sisters came into the school this year, joined the school this year on the varsity side. So it was really a lot of new pieces, and a lot of new primary pieces in that way. So fitting them all in together has been a bit of a challenge from the beginning. But I mean, at 23-0, it's how much of a challenge has it really been when you really ask them.
Right. And it's so interesting. I was just thinking about it while you were talking. When it comes to Springfield girls basketball, I mean, just in general, whether it be Renaissance, Springfield Central, Springfield International Charter, it's wild to think the breadth of talent that there is in the city of Springfield, and specifically with Renaissance, especially this season. But Kenny, once again, I know on Friday we took you when you had a story to write. Again, I know you got something else cooking, so be sure everybody to keep an eye on our website, MassLive.com, for Kenny's story about that game from Renaissance versus Tohoto. I'll let you get to it, Kenny. Thanks so much for popping in and chatting with us.
Thanks, Gage. Have a good night, Jay.
Take care.
All right. And so now switching gears here, as we did on Friday, once again, turning in our basketballs, Jay, here for some hockey sticks. I do want to bring in one of my former coworkers at MassLive, Caitlin Kemp, who's now with the Gardner News. Kate, how are we doing tonight?
Good. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited to be here tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to hear what Central Mass has cooking when it comes to girls hockey this year. I know we talked about it a little bit. I know you've had your hands full when it comes to a busy winter in the state postseason, especially in Central Massachusetts. You got Shrewsbury in Division I for girls hockey. You got Algonquin in Division II. Once again, just breadth of talent in Central Massachusetts this year, whether it be, boys basketball at North, everything, girls hockey, of course, included in that. But I'm interested to get your perspective, Kate, on when it comes to the strength of the programs remaining for girls hockey in Central Massachusetts. I'd imagine, Shrewsbury is high up in that power ranking, being the reigning state champions. But curious from your perspective, as somebody who's had the finger on the pulse throughout this entire season, who are some of the strongest girls hockey programs in Central Massachusetts this year that are still in the running?
Yeah, so definitely, like you said, we have Shrewsbury in D1, defending champs. They are the number 7 seed this year, but actually tomorrow for the Elite Eight, they're having a rematch of the state championship last year against St. Mary in Lynn. And last year they beat St. Mary's as the 1 seed. This year, St. Mary's is 2 seeded, so still, going to be a tough game for them tomorrow. But they just have a great group of, veterans, a lot of the same girls. Bridget McLaughlin, 18 points right now, senior. Natalie McCausland, another senior, both contributors on that state champ team last year. So, they know kind of what they have to do to get back to that point. And another standout, their goalie, Riza Montoya, she just broke the school record for most wins in goal with 57. So, she's having a big year. They're really solid. So, time will tell if they'll be able to uphold, their title there. And looking at D2, we have Algonquin, another top program. They won the championship 2 years ago, I believe, made an appearance last season. So, another one, a great group of girls again. 5 of their players are in the top 10 of scoring in Central Mass. So, a lot of dynamic scorers there. Emily Johns from Clinton. Again, also a lot of these schools are all co-op. So a lot of different girls from different schools. Emily Johns leading scorer in CMass, 30 points right now. So, just a lot of these great top performers here in these teams for Central Mass.
Cool. Awesome. And like I said, you've had your finger, on the pulse when it comes to, Central Mass, Northern Central Mass up in that Gardner area. So if you're not following Kate on Twitter, you need to follow Kate on Twitter. Is it at Kate Kemp? Is that what we're working with?
I think it's Caitlin Kemp, the full Caitlin Kemp 09, I believe.
There you go. At Caitlin Kemp 09. Follow her there. Read her in the Gardner News. Kate, thanks so much. Great to see you again, and best of luck the rest of the postseason.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me tonight.
Take care.
All right, Jay. So I'm interested when it comes to chatting with you again. Looking ahead, I know you've been, been on the Franklin beat, basically. I know you've been, working hard getting to these Franklin games. So when it comes to what's next, if people want to see Jay Horrigan on the sideline, if they want to take a picture with you, if they want an autograph, where can they get one? What's next on the schedule?
They should, first of all, they should run away. That would not be advised. No, Franklin is going to be taking on Boston College High School. I keep looking down, hitting refresh to try to find out when the game's going to be. No idea. We've heard when I left the school tonight, we had heard Friday, we had heard Saturday, we had heard Sunday. So who knows? It'll be sometime this weekend. That should be a great game. It pits a school in BC High that's from the Catholic Conference that looks like they are going to have in Division I boys, 3 of the final 8 teams are going to come from their league in BC High, Xaverian, and Catholic Memorial. So that should be a lot of fun to watch those schools play this coming weekend.
Cool. I mean, every day we go, the heat's turning up. It's turning up. It
absolutely is.
It's not turning down. It's all coming into a head here in the next few weeks.
It is, as you said, when you were texting me earlier, we ran long last week, but when you're talking high school sports, it's hard to stop because there's so much good things to talk about in the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, I mean, great things every day happening across all sports this winter. I mean, for me, my next game, if you want to catch an autograph, I charge, by the way. No, it's fine. I'm going to be out in the Berkshires, Monument Mountain versus Burke in the Division IV boys quarterfinals. Monument Mountain for me has been the one that has kind of slipped through my fingers this season. I mean, they're out there in the Berkshires. I haven't been able to get out to see them, but it's almost like the old days where, you'd hear about a team and you're like, oh, you got to see these guys out here. But I haven't seen them. But I really want to see Khalil Carson. I really want to see Manny Brown. I really want to see the group that Randy Coley's has, that he has this year. Always has a talented group, but it looks like this is one of his best. Only one loss this entire season, and that was in the Western Mass Championship. So I'm sure those guys, that lit a fire under them to say, if we're going to lose in the Western Mass Championship, we're going to try and win a state championship at the very least. So
that Burke school is an athletic group of kids. That should be a really, really good game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I remember seeing Burke, I think must have been last year before. I think it must have been last year against Springfield International Charter, the boys team, late in the postseason. And talented kids on that team. So really looking forward to see what happens with that one on Friday. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, Jay and I can't stay away. I'm sure you'll see us at some point here.
At least once more, yeah.
Within the next week, I'll have my fiance get another painting and I'll throw it on the
Awesome.
wall.
Awesome.
I know we had issues starting. I don't think we can have any issues stopping. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, thanks so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, on your phone, on your laptop, whatever you're doing, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. And Jay, thanks so much for popping by again.
Gage, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. It's a pleasure to collaborate. That's a big word for me, but to collaborate with you folks at MassLive, it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to keep it going.
That's right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.